welcome to Book 8 of the Aeneid. Let's begin. So the book starts off with Turnus and his main commanders Messapus, Ufens and Mezentius starting to ravage Latium as the war begins, killing everyone and everything in their way. What fun. And while they're doing this, Turnus sends Venulus to Diomede to inform them of the situation and to ask them to help them. So when Aeneas sees all this fighting, he gets very sad because he just got out of a war which was very stressful for him, and now he's in a new one. And he starts to panic because trauma is a fun time, and it's just Aeneas just can't catch a break, and it's really starting to get to him. And because he's super sad, Aeneas goes to sleep by the river Tiber, and sure enough, is visited by the river god himself, because none of the gods and none of the spirits want to let him sleep. Just again, Aeneas can't catch a break from mortals or immortals. He just not having a fun time at the moment. So the river Tiber, in order to reassure him that he's in the right place, he gives him, surprise, surprise, another fucking prophecy. Woo! I hope you're keeping score at home, kids, because this Virgil just loves prophecies. It's just most of his books are just prophecies. It's great. And the prophecy is that Aeneas will see a white sow feeding 30 piglets under ilex trees on the shore, which means that in 30 years' time, Ascanius will found the city of Alba, which means that they won the war, kind of, or they survive long enough that Ascanius can found the city in 30 years' time. He also advises Aeneas to seek out King Evander of the Arcadians to offer sacrifice to Juno when he gets there, as if that will stop her from hating them less, but doesn't hurt to try. And then he disappears. So in the morning, Aeneas sets off for Evander with some men, and they see the sow, which means, yay, they're gonna survive this war, hopefully. Or they're gonna survive long enough that they'll have sons to carry on their legacy. So as they arrive, the people are performing rites to Hercules, and everyone gets very frightened to see them because obviously they're in the midst of a war and they're like, oh shit, these people are coming to invade us, we're gonna die. So everyone starts panicking except for Pallas, who is the son of Evander, who goes to confront them with the spear and stuff. So Aeneas sees them approaching and holds out an olive branch and is like, yo man, it's chill, we're on the same side, we just want to be allies. And Pallas is like, okay, but come speak to my father first, just to make sure that we're on the same page. So Aeneas goes up to Evander and is like, hey, we kind of have similar ancestors, do you want to be allies? And Evander is immediately like, hey, I know you, I recognise your voice, you're related to Anchises, he was my guest friend once, who I may or may not have had a crush on when I was younger. Come in, join the feast. And they join the feast. So as they're having the feast, Evander explains the story of the Hercules rites. So basically, story is that there was a monster called Cacus in the area of Etruria, which is where Evander rules. And this monster terrorised the area until Hercules came with his balls from Geryon. Cacus made the mistake of stealing these balls from Hercules and let one of them reply to Hercules when Hercules called for the balls to hand them back in. Hercules admittedly got very pissed that this guy would try and steal one of his balls that he took a very long time trying to get, and chases him into his cave, which Cacus then closes on him before he can even get in. Then Hercules gets on top of the cave, pushes off the rock blocking the roof, and starts hurling rocks at Cacus to weaken him and stuff. And then once he's satisfied, he jumps in and starts gouging out his eyes and choking Cacus and just really, really butchering him. And sure enough, Cacus dies, and everyone's happy and is like, wow, Hercules, thanks. And then they set up the rights to him to honour him for basically saving them from this horrible monster. And on top of this, they also create an altar called the Greatest Altar, which is the most original name for an altar. But this could also be a reference to the Arapaxis in Rome, which is, again, Augustan propaganda, whatever, because I think it was set up by Augustus to show that they're in an era of peace, thanks to Augustus, and yada. And this Greatest Altar was set up by the Pinari, which I think is also a thing in Rome, which, again, propaganda. And then after he explains the story, the Salai start singing around the fire. And the Salai are also definitely a thing in Rome. They're priests of Mars. So again, we got links between Rome and their ancestors, because, yeah, Augustus. So after this, Evander takes Aeneas and Pallas around what is essentially mini Rome, which is the area that they live in. And little activity for you all: read the passage on the screen and try and spot the landmarks yourself. Have fun with that. So after this little mini episode, Venus goes up to Vulcan and seduces him so that he can make some armour for Aeneas. And obviously, because she's Venus and seducing people is like her speciality, it works. And so Vulcan sets off on creating this legendary armour for Aeneas. So then we cut back to Evander, and he explains that the Etruscans were once under Mezentius' tyrannical rule, but rose up against him after his very terrible atrocities. Like, one of the punishments he had for people was that he tied them to a dead corpse, which is fun. And so because they weren't happy with this, they quite understandably drove him out. And then they got a prophecy that their next leader should be a foreigner if they want to beat him. So Evander, he sees Aeneas, he's like, "You're a foreigner, go lead the Etruscans." And Aeneas is like, okay. And along with that, he sends Pallas with him so that he can train Pallas in warfare and make him a man. It's all good. Venus then sends down a storm and reveals a glowing armour to Aeneas. And Aeneas is obviously very encouraged by this, not only because he gets some sick-ass armour, but also because it shows that the gods are on his side. Yay! He's not completely fucked. Evander then prays to the gods to not let his son die before him and asks for a sign from the gods that this won't happen. And then he collapses, which is a great sign for Pallas. He must be watching this like, shit, I guess I'll die then. Sick. So then they ride out, and Aeneas somehow ends up on his own at one point. And when he's on his own, Venus takes the chance and gives him his legendary armour. Among this armour, there's a shield showing basically all of the history of Rome up until Caesar. And again, read the passage on the screen to see what events they are and if you can recognise any of them, because it's fun. And then on that not too long passage, the book ends. So I'll see you all at some point in the future with the next episode of Beck Explains the Odyssey. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!